Hello there. We are doing lesson 4-3. So we've already spent some time working on 4-3, and what we have been doing is writing in equations in y equals mx plus b form. And what we've been working on so far is graphing. Being able to graph the equation when it's written in this form so that we pull off the y-intercept and we graph that, and we pull off the slope and we graph that. So what we're going to work on today is interpreting that information. What does that information truly mean? Now that you know how to graph it and you can pull off your slope, which is also called your constant rate of change, constant rate of change. So now that you know how to pull that off, what does the constant rate of change mean? And pulling off the y-intercept or the b value, what does that mean? And a lot of times we call that the initial value. Where is this starting at? Okay, so if you want to pull out your books, you guys can look at your books here and kind of follow along. And the first example that we're going to talk about is on page 108. So if you need to pause the video and go find your book and open it up, we're going to just talk about this and interpret and see what this means. So they are giving us an equation over here that says y equals minus 300x plus 2400. So from past practice and what we've been doing, we know that this number right here represents the slope. And we know that this number right here represents the y-intercept. Now this is also called the initial value, or where are we starting? So in this particular real world situation, Ken has a weekly goal of burning 2,400 calories by taking brisk walks. The equation y equals minus 300x plus 24 represents the number of calories Ken has left to burn after walking so many hours. So he burns 300 calories an hour. So one thing we could ask would be, how many hours would Ken have to walk in order to burn off 2,400 calories? Okay, so we can start by graphing this equation, and 2,400 calories is where we're going to start. That's our initial value. So the y-intercept, or the initial value, what that means is that Ken has at 0 hours of walking, okay, at 0 hours of walking, Ken has 2,400 calories left to burn. So the y-intercept is representing how many calories he has left to burn. So he hasn't started any exercising. So obviously if his goal is 2,400, that's where he's starting. That's his initial value of what he's going to burn. So now we're going to put a slope in here of negative 300. So if we look here, this thing's counting by, they skip a line and then go to 600, skip a line and go to 12. So they're counting 3, 6, 9, 12. So when I go down one line, I'm really going down 300, and then I'm counting by ones going over. So then the slope is 300 over 1. So if I go down 300 over 1, down 300 over 1, down 300 over 1, and we get this line all the way down until it meets the x-axis. So what does this slope mean? What does the slope mean? Well, the slope means that he is burning 300 calories for every hour he walks. Burning 300 calories for every hour he walks. And you can see here that on the x-axis, that's where they put time, the hours. Okay, so we could read this and say, what do I have this? What's this dot right here? So if we go over here, that's 300 and then over at 15. So this is 3, 1,500. What does that ordered pair mean? Well, it means if Ken has walked 3 hours, he has 1,500 calories left to burn. because that's how we did it, as calories remaining, left to burn. Okay, so the interpretation, the x-axis is representing time in hours. The y-axis is representing the calories remaining. Okay, this Y-intercept initial value is that he has 2,400 calories to burn. And this down here, the slope means that we have 300 calories burning for every hour he walks. Now, what does this over here mean when we're at 8? That means at 8 hours, he has 0 calories left to burn. So if he works out or walks for 8 hours, whether it's 1 day, 2 days, 5 days, after his 8 hours, he has burned his 2,400 calories, walking at that particular pace. So in this next one, they're saying, hey, what if Ken decides to walk at a different pace? So he is walking at 300 is what they're saying now, but he's going to slow down to 200. So graph the equation, and that's what I did in red. How does the new graph compared to the graph that we had in 2, and I left the graph in 2 as black? So how does it compare? Well, he's walking slower, and because he's walking slower, does it take him longer to burn the calories? So it takes Ken longer to burn the calories. So what question here? Will Ken have to exercise more or less to meet his goal? Well, he's going to have to do more because he's walking slower. All right, number 7. Suppose that Ken decides that instead of walking, he will jog, and that jogging burns 600 calories per hour. How do you think that would change the graph? So where would the new line be? Would the new line be out here, so it's taking him longer? Is it going to be between these two lines, or is it going to be shorter? So it's going to change the graph because it's going to make it steeper. So you're still starting at the same y-intercept. So you still start at same y-intercept. But what's happening here is that he's going faster, so it's going to be a steeper line. So it's going to take less time to burn the calories. Alrighty, let's go on and try another sample problem here. Okay, we're working on interpreting. So here we've got Ken's coming down at when he has 600. Oh, this is a different question. So locate the 600 calories on our, so if he's going to do 600 calories, and then we're going to go over to the line and done. It's going to take him 6 hours to burn that, and then he will have only 600 calories left to burn after that. So if he is burned locating 600, we can go over it, and it's going to take 6 hours, but it's going to take a total of 8 hours to do this. All right, well, let's go look at another sample problem here. All right, moving on. Okay, this is the one I want to go through. So a friend gives you 2 baseball cards for your birthday. Okay, so right now you are starting off with how many baseball cards? What is your friend giving you? Your friend is giving you 2 baseball cards. Okay, afterwards you begin collecting them. So now you're like, oh, this is a cool idea, so I'm going to start collecting them. So you buy the same number of cards once a week. And that represents your equation of y equals 4x plus 2 that you have after x weeks. So find and interpret the slope and the y-intercept of the line that represents, and then graph it, and then put labels on your graph. Okay, so I'm going to start with 2. And what are they counting by here? So one way they're counting by 1s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the other way they're counting by 2s. So if my slope is 4 over 1, that means I need to go up 4 and right 1. Now remember, when I go up one line, that's really going up 4. So 2, 4, and over 1. 2, 4, over 1. 2, 4, over 1. And I'm just going to keep it going until I go off the chart. 2, 4, over 1, 0.24 over 1. Now, I am not going to connect these dots because you can't buy part of a card, and he is buying 2 every week. He doesn't just buy 3 one week and 7 the next week. He's buying 4 cards every week so that he has a constant rate of change. So the Y-intercept means it's the initial value and that he starts with 2 cards. Okay, that's what his friend gave him. So he starts with 2 cards. Now, what does the slope mean? The slope means that's where the constant changes, and they're telling you that you're buying the same number of cards every week. And in this case, he is buying 4 cards every week. Buying 4 cards every week. So they ask us to put some labels in here. And so what we have over here is, this is the weeks. Okay, so after, he didn't buy any. So in the first week, he didn't buy any, but he started with 2 cards from his friend. So the first week, he bought 4 cards plus the 2 from his friend. So you can see we have the ordered pair, 1, 6. So after 1 week, he has 6 total cards. So we had weeks over here and the number of cards represented over here. Discuss which points on the lines do not make sense, then plot 3 more points. Well, we plotted all of our points up here. So, and I already talked about points that don't make sense. That's why I did not connect to them, because we're not buying, you're never going to go into the store and buy 5 cards so that you have 7. You're always buying in increments of 4, starting with the 2. So let's just say that they asked the question, C, after 5 weeks, how many cards does he have? Okay, so after 5 weeks, how many cards does he have? So how can we read that off of the graph? So we go over to the 5 weeks. 5 weeks is here. Go up to your chart. Whew, does barely fit on there. And over, and what number would that be? Well, they're counting by 2s, so isn't that going to be 22 cards? Now, another way you could do that is, can't we take this equation, 4x plus 2, and can't I take 4, and we're putting the 5 in there, plus 2, so it's 20 plus 2, so do we get 22 cards? So you can get it from reading your graph by going to the weeks and coming over, or you can get it by plugging your number into the chart. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is if we have a chart and there's a pattern going here of 2, 3, 4, 5, and we start here at 20 and we go up to 25 and then 30 and then 35. Okay, from this chart, can you find slope? And can you find the Y-intercept? Well, I'm telling you that this is or that it is a constant rate of change. So can you find slope? And remember, there's a couple different ways you can find slope. And one is using the slope formula, where you do the change in Y over the change in X. So you take your 2 Y values and you subtract them. And it doesn't matter which 2 you use. So remember, this is X, this is Y. So I can do 25 minus 20. And then on the bottom, I have to do the same thing. I have to take my X values. And if I did 25 minus 20, then I have to do 3 minus 2. So 25 minus 20 is 5, and 3 minus 2 is 1. So this slope is 5. Now, what is the Y-intercept? Remember, to be the Y-intercept, the X value is 0. So if the X value is 0, then we have the Y-intercept. So keep the pattern going. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So I have to do 2 more places, counting by 5s. So this one would be 15, and this one would be 10. So this now represents your Y-intercept. So the Y-intercept is 10. Okay, you're going to have a couple questions like this on your homework. So please make sure that you understand, you keep the pattern going, and you find your slope for 2 points,